All right, guys, welcome to the Different Animals Podcast. You're here for episode 2. It's your boy Tyler,
And I'm Ever Castro.
and we're gonna be touching on a couple random things today. Um, got some Drake stuff going on with some new releases. Hit some movie topics, some sports topics again, and we might hit some shows and movies we're watching currently at
Yeah,
the end.
yeah,
But go ahead.
definitely happy to be back. Second week. Hope you guys had a good week, and hope everybody's doing well. And yeah, hopefully we can get your mind off of stuff for an hour or so, and keep you entertained.
Absolutely. So before we jump into any of that, though, all right, guys. So the first thing we're going to touch on today is I happened to see this Rolling Stone article from a few weeks ago at the time, and the headline for this Rolling Stones article is Kanye tapes to beeping at his friends, calling words the lowest forms of communication, which might be the most ridiculous thing that anyone said if it wasn't Kanye West. I think this probably fits in, I don't even think it cracks his top 10 of most ridiculous shit this man said, which is a fucking shame.
Definitely. I mean, like I feel like we miss him on Twitter. I miss him on Twitter. Because we had his classic tweets, including the water bottle one. But yeah, this is yeah. I mean, I know when I want to hit up my friends, I just beep at them. Like they're beepers. But
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we still use the 90s technology of beepers, is because we reached the pinnacle. We reached the pinnacle of communication, and we were like, we're stopping here with beepers.
exactly, exactly. Did he say like who said it? Did he say this his friends, are they the ones who told Rolling Stone about this, or
Man, I'm not sure if I read it a little bit and I skimmed it, and I can't remember who came up. I think it was someone he works with said this. I'll have to go back and check the article again. It's a Rolling Stone article, so you can check that wherever. But I think my favorite part of this is that regardless of whether he said it or not, is there any doubt in your mind that he said this?
absolutely not?
Yeah,
No
this
way,
man
never have.
absolutely would say this.
In fact, if you had told me that, it'd be like, all right, Ever, I'm going to give you a headline from the Rolling Stone about an artist who said something. Here is the headline. I would have said, definitely, absolutely, 100% Kanye West.
Oh my god. My favorite part of this is that he calls words the lowest form of communication when in fact the highest form of communication. We as cavemen all we did was grunt and fucking gesture at people, and then we were like, "Hey, what if we started using words,
Yeah,
so we
I'm
could
sure
clearly communicate?"
one of the first words ever uttered ever was probably something approaching beep or boop. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
nah, so, nah, but that is actually the highest form of communication. You're a fucking idiot for using words. Uh
and like I personally, so whenever I see these articles, I can't help but be a little bummed because I still love Kanye West's music up until like 2016. I love his influence, and so anytime that I see anything like this, it's just kind of like another tally on the shit. I mean, I guess like what am I gonna do? Tally, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I think me and you will both agree that if we had to label one artist to be our most influential artist on our lives as
Yeah,
far as music goes, I feel like it has to be Kanye West for me.
yeah. No, yeah, same. Me too. I mean, I feel the exact same way. I mean, yes. I mean, he's got probably what 5 or 6 classic albums, changed music, changed the culture, and then somewhere along the last 4 or 5 years, he just kind of went into a territory that I just kind of you know, how can I say, secretly still listen to his music. I'm that Russell Westbrook gif of him eating the food on the bench, make sure nobody's looking. Like that's me listening to Kanye West music. So it sucks, but um, it
Yeah,
is
it's
what it
really
is.
fucking disappointing because what's awful is that his ridiculousness now makes me question the other shit that I agreed with him on. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
like the
Before it was like,
infamous Katrina thing, which was like his biggest one, you know what I
yeah,
mean, or the Taylor Swift thing. I was like, you know, I kind of think he's onto something here. I don't think as much as like his presentation is bad, I think his message might be on point because maybe you don't go snatch a fucking microphone from a white girl on stage to say Beyonce should have won. Maybe that's the wrong move, but Beyonce should have won.
yes.
So fuck.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say is that those two statements you kind of go like, oh, maybe what he's saying is true, and he's saying something that other people wouldn't have, but then now he's saying shit that's just like dumb, or it's like I want to live in Wyoming and like ride these fucking dark night trucks with my cattle, and it's like okay, dude, like all right, let's just let me just listen to your music and just go away.
Yeah, and the thing is that this is also shitty. Well, actually, you know what? I take that back. It's fucking great. Is that the music doesn't really seem to be there anymore. So
Yeah,
now I don't feel
I guess
bad
yeah, I
for
guess you're
like
right. I
just
mean,
putting him into two different. Like I have the Kanye West I like, and then a Psycho Kanye West, and that split happens right after Life of Pablo.
yes, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, actually, I never thought about it that way. The way you just mentioned it, where you're happy that he's not making good music anymore. Because I guess if he was making excellent music still, then I would be like, shit. I guess I gotta support him, or I gotta, But I guess him making not great music or gospel music now, you kind of go, okay, I can live with this. I can separate him. I can have this break where from then before it's like sort of in amber. It's kind of frozen in time. So.
Exactly. Like as much as my disdain for Kanye West's current views, like nothing will take my beautiful dark twisted fantasy away from me, and
Right.
you
Right.
have to pry that shit from my cold dead hands.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah, Kanye wants to start beeping at people and not use words. And speaking of celebrities not using words, we can go to Elon Musk naming his fucking kid whatever the fuck he named it. No idea what the fuck that's supposed to be.
See, somebody said that it was supposed to be like Kyle, but then when he was asked about it on the on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said it kind of what it looks like. He was like X, and then A12 is this, and then AE is this. But
Holy
whatever.
shit.
Yeah.
So,
I
my
mean,
favorite part of this is that Grimes came out on Twitter, and there's a tweet circulating from her where she explains how they came up with the name. And my favorite part of it is that, like, the AE symbol, I don't know what that's called. That symbol, she's like, AI, in reference to them both being, technologically savvy people. AI, and then she also said that, like, AI said in Japanese maybe is like their word for love, and it's pronounced the same way. And
mhm.
my favorite thing is that the very first comment underneath it is like, that's not how you pronounce that word. So even if this ridiculous fucking explanation warranted this fucking name, which it doesn't, but even if it did, you were still just factually wrong.
And yeah, I mean like, and I mean I personally don't. I like for me like Elon Musk is just kind of one of these guys that I don't get. Like I'm just like, oh, cool. He like formed a rocket ship and whatever. And like, oh, cool. His family made his money off of apartheid jewels. So like, I kind of go like, oh, like this is the guy that you guys are hyping up. So like, personally, I don't really get Elon Musk.
I don't get it either. I don't think there's anything to get. I think people just go out of their way to defend this man from all sorts of nonsense. That like, there's nothing there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like people are still trying to tell me that this fucking Cybertruck looks good. You're out of your fucking mind.
And I always hear that it's like, oh, he was the inspiration for Tony Stark, and I'm like,
No, Tony
no.
Stark's been around.
Well, yeah, so Tony Stark's been around in this latest iteration. You don't have to crack a perfect human like Elon Musk to get the RD the MCU Tony Stark. It's like it's pretty easy. You get a rich guy who's kind of a jerk, and then he's not a jerk, and then Robert Downey Jr. fills in the rest.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just like the idea. He's a guy that I don't fucking get it. You know, I just straight up don't get it. I was trying to come up with something and immediately lost it. I don't fucking get it. The man made flamethrowers, right? Wasn't that his thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
made
then yeah,
flamethrowers, made a fucking electric car that is, I guess it's a good car. I don't know. Everyone I know that talks about them says it's the best thing to ever walk the earth, but those are the same people that will defend the Cybertruck in this kid's fucking name. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say they need their post, the life of Pablo break from him, so that they can go, holy shit, he's a fucking dork. Oh my god.
this is that I hate VM bipolar is fucking awesome, Elon Musk. Fuck this dude.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Although I will say, Ghost Town on that album is great. I should have mentioned that earlier, but anyway, sorry. Go on.
I haven't even listened to it. I didn't listen to it, and then I saw everyone else who has musical opinions I trust saying that it's bad, and I was like, I'm good. I don't think I need to stream this one. I think I'm good. And just going back to Elon Musk, like, don't fucking name your kid that. Why would you do that to your child? My name's
Yeah.
Tyler. I apparently was told that at one point it was going to be spelled Tigler. Kill yourself, dude. I'd have fucking killed
T-I-G-H-A.
myself. Like the word high, but Tyler. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'd have. Ah!
Oh, I would have called you Thyler your whole life. What, bro?
Oh boy, and that kid's name has a fucking symbol, a number, and then like three separate fucking.
But
No, dude.
I was gonna say, but the most important thing is that no matter what happens to him, he's gonna be rich, so he will be just fine.
Right, he can pay for 1,000 name changes. Uh,
He could become John. Like I don't need my name, change my name to John, but it won't matter.
but it's going to be spelled ridiculously also because if his parents are raising him, he's also going to grow up to be a complete psychopath.
Probably gonna be spelled like John, like in Philly, like Jawn.
Oh my god. You're right. That
Yeah.
is 100% what will happen to that
And then
child.
speaking of celebrities with kids who have sparked a little bit of controversy, have you listened to the new Drake album? Or I guess mixtape. I forget what he's calling it.
Yeah, I think it's technically a mixtape, but it's on Spotify and no other mixtapes are on Spotify, so I guess I don't know how the fuck it works at this point. He's definitely calling it a mixtape. Um Shout out to his kid. Shout out to Pusha T. You are hiding a child. The best diss line in any song ever. Don't care. Uh, it's the most disrespectful shit I can think of. And Tupac said he fucked Biggie's wife, and Jay Z said that he left a condom in Nas's baby's fucking car seat. So it's still most disrespectful. It's outing your child. Uh,
Absolutely. I do want to say one quick thing going back to the mixtape and album mix-up. I do not like when they don't clarify that just for my brain. Like I like saying, this is the album from this year, this is the album from this year. But then, he calls that a mixtape, and then he calls, if you're reading this, it's too late. I think he called that an album, but it was only digital. And then he called More Life a project or a playlist, and I'm just like, I hate this. Just call them all albums. Do not mess with my brain like this. I do not like it.
I do not like it, Sam. I am. Um, I get the if you're reading this too late, he called it an album, and I think that if I remember correctly, there was some controversy with his contract at the time, so he had to release it as an album to get out of the contract he was in. So
Okay.
that's why he called it a contract. Calling it a playlist or a project sounds like some nonsense. And the first time I ever heard that was with Kanye with Life of Pablo, where he was like, "This is a living, breathing album. I'm gonna constantly be making changes to it. It's not." And then like he made like two minor changes, and I'm just
He
like,
just
"Y'all need to calm the
he
fuck
fixed
down."
wolves and that was it.
No, he changed the line from famous. I think he changed it from
Like Puerto Rican Day waving or something to something else. I remember that
it's
one.
like she trying to be a real estate agent or some shit like that. Like I was like, what the fuck? Why? So really fucking nitpicking at that point. Drake's always shit has been complicated to me. Like just as far as what's album, what's a mixtape, what's a project.
Yeah.
Like and at first I was like maybe it's just because he puts out so much content, but then Lil Wayne was putting out content all the fucking time, and it was very obvious what was the album and what was the mixtape. So I don't know what the fuck Drake's problem is. It's just always confusing me.
Right, right, right. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on the new project? I listened to it. Excuse me. I'm a big Drake fan, and I only listened to it maybe two or three times all the way through. Maybe twice all the way through, and then just like a couple of listens throughout the week. But I don't know. I felt there was a lot of just kind of okay songs. Nothing really stuck for me. I did like Deep Pockets. Deep Pockets. That one I thought was pretty good. but nothing like 0 to 100 or those. When he used to release one-offs like that, trophies. The one-off stuff. Those were great and those always stuck. But this I felt was kind of like, it was sort of just like, eh.
Yeah, I'm not really a Drake fan. Like, he makes good songs for singles. I think he makes amazing singles. I'll give him that. He
Yes,
makes crusher singles, and every time I listen to his albums, I just like kind of get bored with him.
and
And
even
also, like, I just Take Care for me was like the most melodramatic. Like, I'm sad my girl left shit I've ever heard in my life.
but there's
And
some bangers on there. I mean, there's like Lord Knows, and I think toward the end, the Ride. Like, there's some like really good stuff on there. I mean, I love Drake. I still think that's his one classic. I don't. I do, and I love Nothing Was the Same, and I love More Life. I think more than most people, but I do think I think Take Care is his best one. But I think yeah, I think I don't know. You don't. What about the other ones? Do you like the other ones?
man, all right. So here's what it is. If I'm being 100% honest, and I can't stick with Drake because he just feels like the most. I was gonna fucking butcher the shit out of this. I was gonna say the most not genuine, and the correct word for that is least genuine. If I learned fucking English, I'm gonna start beeping at people because I can't speak correctly. Um, he's the least genuine person I've ever seen, and for some reason that bothers the shit out of me. And I think it taints his music just because I know that. Like, this man has gone through a Canadian phase. He's gone through a Houston phase. He's gone through a fucking Jamaican phase.
Atlanta,
He's gone through an Atlanta phase.
Memphis phase a little bit during
Yeah,
the same. The London phase in More Life.
yeah. I mean, like, just now in this album, he went to like some British flow for Demons and War. Matter of fact, let me play you these fucking bars off of these two songs. Hold on. Riding round in a rover. If I see oxen, it's over. I'll send that song to Jehovah when I take shots like M. Sharapova. Doing up tennis. Call man Dennis, I'm a menace.
I
Doing
mean,
up honors in the... So he's in the booth wearing a peacoat.
yeah. I mean,
This is totally him. There's no way this is anybody else. This is totally him. All right, this is straight from the track.
yeah, we know that's not him, but there is a song where he sounds just like that, and I do think that yeah, he does rip off a lot of cultures, and I don't know that he's a lot like Kanye West in that. I think there's so much problematic stuff with him, but I don't know.
My
Maybe
difference is I think Kanye West doesn't switch styles that much. Like, there's plenty of controversial shit going on, but like I don't think he like apes anything that hard. Like, he's very distinctly his sound.
it is his sound, but I mean his sound does change, but I think he Kanye West is much more of a potluck kind of a kind of sound taker than he is a sort of straight up sound rip or offer like Drake is. I think Kanye West, when he went from late registration to graduation, opens up his sound, makes it more rock, more sort of techno, and more. I think he called it stadium tour sounding thing. And then when he switches it to Yeezus, it's a completely different, more um, run down sound that I think sounds more like something like Travis Scott would make. But I do think those sounds were sounds that were around. He just took them, mixed them up, and does a much better job of putting his own stamp on them than Drake, who just straight up takes up the London rappers and just makes them, puts them on a thing and uses their slang.
Yeah, I think my difference is that Kanye West hits the things before they become popular. Like, I'm not saying that he's brand new. He samples music, so obviously all of this stuff was around.
Right.
But I think he hits these sounds before they become immensely popular. I mean, 808s and Heartbreak is the beginning of Drake. Like, that
Yes, without
808s
that,
and Heartbreak is Take Care. You know what I mean? Like, there's a direct line straight from one to the other. And I think, that's evidence of
yeah. I mean, there's
Kanye hitting
no
it first. Whereas Drake, like, Rihanna started going more into like the Jamaican like reggae kind of sound, and then he was like, "Oh, word, one dance, cool. I'm gonna hit that, blow this shit up for the summer." But like, it's stuff that has already started getting popular by the time he touches it,
right. No, yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
and so that inauthenticity is what I think taints all of his music from me, because like I just hear stuff and I'm like, "This is not you." Like, the
Right.
whole Infamous started from the bottom. Like, no, you were not in bad shape, which is a little tougher deal because like everyone embellishes in rap music a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Rick Ross doesn't deal drugs; he was actually a parole officer.
Right.
But like I can't do it with Drake.
Yeah, and I mean, like to a certain extent, I mean, I know it's not probably my place to say what is hip hop and what isn't, or like what, oh, like this is real, this isn't real. But just from my perspective, I personally see it kind of how one sees a movie more than other people do, if that makes sense. So like, for some people, you know, if the rapper doesn't write his own rhymes, it's like, oh, it's a crime. It's the worst crime you can commit in hip hop is not writing your own stuff. But for me, I prefer Drake stuff when he wasn't writing it or when he had a ghostwriter. And I'm like, that makes sense to me because to me, music, like everything else, maybe not to other people, is a collaborative art, just like anything else. So when a director makes a movie, he goes, this is my movie. But to me, it's like, no, there's also an editor, there's a writer, there's people who give you tips. And the reason it comes together is because him as a CEO of the movie kind of gels it together and makes it click. And for me, that's the same thing with Drake, where if a song is really good, it's like, oh, it's because he had a good, he had a couple of good rhymes. 40 had a good beat, and maybe he had a couple of ghostwriters who helped him punch it up, like he did. With Take Care or Nothing Was the Same. So for me, when it comes out, it's like the Drake that I am seeing. I don't aspire or I don't expect him to be a person as much as I do it to be like um what's it the MC, like the Marvel brand. When a Marvel movie comes out, or to me, seeing a Marvel movie is the same as seeing or hearing a Drake project is something that just a bunch of people work together on, and Drake is just the final product. I don't know. That's the way I've always thought about him, where I'm not like looking for an authentic, like the real quote real Drake.
Right. I think my problem is that he is so inauthentic while also having such an ignorant level of bravado. Like he
Okay.
acts like he's the best rapper to ever fucking touch a mic, and like I just feel like you can't say that when you don't also do it. Like I call Kanye West my favorite artist, I guess. Like I know he doesn't write all of his own rhymes. You know what I mean? He has plenty of ghostwriters, but for me, the magic with Kanye is less the lyrics and more the way the albums come out. And I think that's what differentiates Drake for me is that Drake hits big hit singles, but as you said, has what you think is one classic album. Kanye has Graduation, College Dropout, Late Registration, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Yeezus, which are all debatable,
And
and
808.
808s. Yeah, 808s isn't really my speed. I've come to learn because someone else pointed it out to me. I have a playlist on Spotify with like 600 songs on it that just shuffle, and not one of those is even remotely slow paced. They are all hard, fast hitting fucking songs, and I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea until someone pointed it out to me, and I wonder if that's why I don't like 808s because nothing in that's kind of fast. Um, but 808s isn't really my thing. Either way, I'm saying like it's for him. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is the best put together album from front to back. Never hits a low note,
No.
and like it all flows together so well. And so that's my classic. Whereas Drake just hits a single that he apes some fucking style off of and tells you he's the best rapper alive, and then loses in beef to Pusha T. And I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get you. I get you. But then, going from, one pop culture monolith that you think is a little bit overrated to another, Star Wars week or Star Wars Day was this week. May the Fourth be with you. I am a huge Star Wars fan. I have a Star Wars tattoo. I I love all of them. There's nine. I'll let you give your opinion on them, but I'll just sort of give people context to sort of my experience with Star Wars. I love all nine. Oh, no, no, no. Scratch that. I love the original trilogy. I like the prequels. I think there's some good stuff in them that you sort of can pick out and be like, well, this is pretty good. This is actually kind of really shitty. I love the Force Awakens. I love the Last Jedi, and I did not like the latest one, the Rise of Skywalker. But as a whole, I enjoy it. I love it. But what do you think?
So growing up, I never once watched the Star Wars movies. Um, the only Star Wars movie I ever watched before what I'm about to tell you is I watched episode one, The Phantom Menace, and I was younger at the time. and even now, I'm not a very astute movie watcher. Like, I'm not picking up on little details and picking out story structure. I'm not doing that. I'm just buying into the movie and watching it as it is. And I thought episode 1 was okay. I wasn't mad I watched it. I wasn't overjoyed.
Hmm.
Um, so then, I have everyone tell me as I'm growing up, like, the prequels are trash, absolute trash. You need to watch the original trilogy. So, again, never really got into it. And at this point, like, I've lived my life up till this age, having never cared about Star Wars, so I don't really
Hmm.
fuck with it. And then the seventh episode comes out, which is, I don't remember the name of it. What's the name of the seventh one?
The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens comes out, or is there's a trailer drops for it, and it's about to come out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Kaylin likes, my wife likes the Star Wars movies, so I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot. We'll go watch this, but first I'm going to watch the first trilogy and then the prequels. And going into this, my thought is that I watched one, it was average. It's considered the trash one out of the three. So these fucking first three I'm about to watch, episodes 4, 5, and 6, are about to be fucking bumping.
Yeah.
So I go into watching those, and I tried to watch episode 4 and fell asleep. And then I was like, son of a bitch, I'm gonna try again tomorrow. Maybe I was tired. Start episode 4 the next day, fell asleep again. Damn, I must be getting shitty sleep. So I'm gonna try and watch this in the morning. Watch it the next morning and still fall asleep. Wide ass awake at noon because the movie fucking sucks, bro. I don't care what anyone says. This movie's fucking trash. It's the slowest paced movie I have ever tried to watch in my life. And I've watched plenty of slow movies that I don't need action every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? I'm not over here like, no explosions, out. But I literally, nothing happens. The most action you get in what I feel like has to be at least the first hour of that fucking movie is that he meets an old guy and a fucking drone pot shots him in a fucking in a spaceship with a
Huh.
couple of lasers before he fucking knows how to use a lightsaber.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that first one isn't my favorite. I love it for like at this point for what it is. Remember I watched it when I was in middle school, and so you kind of take it in and you go like, oh, that's where that's from, or oh, that's where that's from, just because it's been so universally referenced. But I do agree, it is a little slow. I think once you get off that first the really the first scene where Darth Vader takes over Princess Leia's ship, I think that scene is great and it sort of hits the ground running, and it does slow down a little bit up until you meet Luke. But I think it's very deliberately paced. I think if it went any faster, I think it could lose people, and I think if it went if it went any slower, it'd be terrible. But I do think everything there hits such basic story elements in such a unique way at the time that it totally makes sense why it stuck the way it did. I think there's some old movies that were huge, something like American Graffiti, which I always heard was super influential and everybody went to see it. It was super high grossing, and then I've heard that now, if you watch it now, it's pretty much unwatchable because it's sort of like you had to be there at that time period. But I feel like Star Wars is so it's sort of lightning. It's like a lightning in a bottle movie. It's like The Matrix when we were talking about last year or last week, where everything hits so well and so universally, specific universally. Like if that makes any sense, where it hits
Right.
everybody and there's something for everybody. That I think it just that's why it was huge. And I personally love the second one, The Empire Strikes Back, more. I think it looks more expensive. It feels more like it in like a quote. I'm gonna say not adult movie, but like a more mature movie.
Professional, like more
Yeah,
professional, more mature.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I totally understand why that first one, the A New Hope, is maybe a little bit harder to access nowadays than
You know,
the other.
I can't say because I never watched it as a kid where you're willing to look past things. You know what I mean? Like as
Mm,
a kid, you're just like, "Fuck it, I'm watching a movie. This is dope.
right.
I'm gonna eat this popcorn." But like as an adult, I see none of what you're talking about, which isn't to say you're wrong. You're very obviously right because otherwise there wouldn't be these millions and millions of people. And on top of your average person liking it, there wouldn't also be a cult following with, along with the mainstream audience. But I'm telling you right now that if somebody hit us with a fucking Men in Black flashlight thing, whatever the fuck it's called. Someone hit us
Neuralizer.
the neuralizer. If somebody hit every single person on Earth with a neuralizer and wiped our brains of all Star Wars related fucking knowledge, and
Mm.
then that movie, the fourth episode, and I'm not saying like, of course, in 2020, if you have special effects from the 80s, it's gonna not do well. I'm saying even if you update those fucking special effects, if that movie comes out today, it's the most slowest paced garbage movie, and that shit would not get picked up for episode 5, and you'd lose a whole fucking franchise because that first one was trash. It was
I,
so bad.
I,
I tried, I couldn't I couldn't make it through the movie to form an opinion. I literally was unable to stay awake.
but see, I feel like there's some directors who I think hit, or some of them have a much more well developed talent of hitting everything bluntly and in such a universal manner that I think it clicks no matter what the special effects are or the stories. I think James Cameron, I think, is the best director at this, or who does this the best. I think he, you know, if like you said, if you were to be neuralized and everybody forgot everything and we had to rewatch all movies again, I feel like his movies would be hits still. I think Avatar would still be huge. I think that Titanic would be huge, and I think in that very same way, I think Star Wars would be huge. I think those three movies, and I'm trying to think of something else that's that sort of like that it just sort of just clicks and you go holy shit. Back to the Future, I think those movies are so, maybe not Back to the Future as much, but the first three I think are so universally like, here's the hero and here's the mission and here's the ending, and like there's like love and um sort of like good guy, bad guy. That sort of very basic story structure. The meeting with the goddess, the wizard, like that kind of stuff. Like the very basic story
Right.
structure. I feel like those three hit such well, or in such a well noted manner that I think they would be hits regardless. So I
I
do. I just I can't um give up that point that I think they wouldn't be hits. I will give up that I think it might be on a little bit slower, and somebody might have to be like, oh shit, like I gotta put down my phone for real. But I yeah.
I mean I fell asleep, man. That's like my number one argument is I tried 3 times and couldn't make it through without falling asleep. Like, can I be awake? Can you at noon in the middle of the fucking day? Can you at least keep my attention enough that I don't fall asleep? And the answer for Star Wars Episode 4 was no.
Did you watch Empire Strikes Back?
No, because I couldn't make it through the fourth one. The whole
I would
thing's
think
one big fucking ridiculous narrative, which is cool. I'm cool with a narrative spanning 7 movies, not a problem for me. Couldn't make it through the first one.
I do think you can watch the Empire Strikes Back without having seen the first one. I think it's much more understandable than something like the Marvel movies. But I think the only thing you really need to know for Empire Strikes Back is just kind of that they blew up the Death Star and sort of everything that happens in the first one. If you have been a human that's been alive in the last couple of decades, you sort of have picked up through social osmosis. I
That's
think.
true. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I could, but I will feel like a fraud. I can't do it. I have that problem across all mediums. If I'm playing a game, I cannot play the most recent one until I've played everything that came before it, if they're connected, and it's a real fucking problem because I never have
Yeah.
enough time.
No, I mean I'm the same way. Like I'm a completionist as well. Like if I'm watching a TV show and it has, 5 seasons and I've gotten through three, I'm gonna finish the last two even if I don't enjoy them. I trudged through the last like 2 or 3 seasons of True Blood because I was like I cannot. I'm like I already watched the first three, and that goes completely against everything that is the structure of sunken cost or opportunity cost in economics. Like it doesn't matter how much time you put into something, whatever
Right.
your future benefit is. That's what you're supposed to do. But for me, I'm like no, I gotta finish True Blood. Like I
I
literally
never
can name
watched
on
that,
my
but I
hand.
heard that shit went so south. I
It
heard
went
it
so
started off so good, and then I feel like I heard the moment fairies got in, it went to shit. And I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard.
season three is excellent. Like it has one of the all-time great TV villains, and it's got two of the all-time great TV villains, and then it just kind of just shits the bed. But anyway, I'm the same way. Like I can't finish. I can't not finish a show. I think I can literally name on 2 fingers the 2 shows that I haven't finished. I didn't finish BoJack Horseman, and I didn't finish. I can't think of the other one, but yeah, but I mean, like, it wasn't because I didn't like it. I don't know. It just didn't click. But anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
it didn't click. BoJack Horseman also didn't click. Star Wars very obviously did not click. But May the Fourth be with you. So I had to give my fucking hot take because I think it's garbage. No idea about any of the newer ones. All I know about the newer ones is that I spoiled the shit out of it for Kaylin on accident because a friend spoiled it for me over we were playing on PlayStation and he said it and he said, Han Solo dies. I said something and then another friend came in. I was like, this motherfucker told me Han Solo dies. And Kaylin in like two rooms over in the kitchen watching this was like, what? I was like, son of a bitch, dude. Just fucking ruined that for my wife.
And I was about to be like spoilers, but then I realized, holy shit, Star Wars: The Force Awakens is literally the biggest movie of all time, and it's not even close.
Is it really?
Yeah, dude, it is. So Endgame, and Avengers Endgame, the fucking culmination of the last 10 years is $100 million behind The Force Awakens. That is how much of a huge, just absolute juggernaut it was when it came out.
Really? I don't know why I thought that Endgame was like the highest grossing.
It's the highest grossing one worldwide. I just like
Okay.
I don't use worldwide as much, or like in terms of my own, like, sort of like, oh, this, like, in my personal reference, just because they're adding new screens every day. So well, I mean, they were adding new screens every day. So a movie that made $500 million 10 years ago now makes $1 billion, but that's just because there's more access to it. Well, I feel here in
Right.
America, it's been pretty much the same level. I mean, I'm sure they're adding new theaters, but it's been pretty much the same level for the last 20 to 30 years.
Right. The answer has always been Hollywood, so America has always been the premier place for that to be seen. But as
Right.
time goes on, it spreads. A perfect example would just be the NBA. Like the NBA, the US was the answer straight up. And then very recently, we've started to see a lot more international people just because it's permeated, and so they've gotten better. Just like worldwide gross because there are more theaters now than there were back then across
Right.
the world. Um, all those are going to get shut down because of this fucking coronavirus. Everything's going under.
The NBA might come back. Did you
Yeah,
see that? Speaking of the NBA,
that was wild to me that they're going to try and reopen certain practice facilities where the the government has started to reopen everything, and that just is the most nonsensical thing I think I've heard of because you're losing a ton of profit by not showing games. I understand. You are losing zero cultural relevancy because everyone cares about the NBA.
right,
Um, and also like there's just gonna be some weird sort of like competitive imbalance where certain teams are able to start practicing, others aren't. By the time we start the season, there's going to be teams that are obviously more rusty than others. And then on top of that, just my stance on all of this across the board, regardless of situation, is you have to just watch out for players' health.
right.
You
Yeah,
can't
I mean,
have
they
these
are
people going into practice facilities where hundreds of people work and possibly getting it and then spreading it to the
right,
teams
right,
and then
and
blah,
like,
blah, blah.
even somebody like, I mean, I'm sure like somebody like LeBron James, he can go in and be like, all right, look, I hired two guys whose job specifically is to push everybody away 6 feet from me at all times, and he can practice in a relaxed manner. But the 12th guy on the bench, he can't do that. He's coming into the team facility, and he's like, I could get it now, I could get it later, like, and no, 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 no. I don't want to say like, wow, man, the NBA players have it so hard when there's literally people whose jobs are, quote, essential, who are going into factories and stuff that aren't protecting them. I don't want to say that they're the same, but I do want to say, like, in their, from their perspective, it's not easy to go into a facility and be like, I'm going to play at my peak without that being in the back of your mind that I could get it right now.
Absolutely. My whole point is that regardless of whether you are an NBA player who makes millions of dollars or random Joe Smo down the street, I'm not saying I'm glad you're out of work, but what I am saying is that like the answer is we look out for your health first. And as much as people want to say like, well, you're just saying that because you aren't having to go through the hardships, like I'm still working. You know what I mean? And I lucked out in that while I'm still working and my job is essential, I'm not generally dealing with the public in my spot.
Same.
But my point still stands that like if you're mad, because people are wanting to stay closed down for health reasons, and you're saying I don't have enough money to make it through, then the answer isn't open everything up. The answer is hold your government that works for you accountable to take care of you.
Right.
The answer
Right.
is like the answer doesn't have to be go fucking die so you can cut some hair and make some money. I understand your plight, and I understand that for you, the easiest answer to get bills paid is to go cut hair. But like, it's just the government should be helping you.
Yes, you should be protesting that they freeze your rent and that they give you, stipends and send you cash every 2 weeks rather than protesting for the opportunity to go work.
Bro, oh my god, dude, these people that are fucking protesting government buildings. It happened, I think, today in Raleigh, right? Was that today or yesterday?
Dude, I tried to keep up with it just because seeing that I just go, Jesus
There's a
Christ.
dude with two revolvers on his hip. I'm talking John Wayne fucking revolvers and a goddamn rocket launcher on his back. What the fuck, bro? What are you doing?
Somebody said the way that the way that we sort of strip them down is that we literally get somebody, give them PPE, and dress them up as fucking Master Chief and put him out there and be like, "Oh, you want to see some real cosplayers? Here's a real one."
Dude, I just don't get it. Like the answer is hold your government accountable for these situations. That they fucking bailed out the airlines. They can't help you out while this shit's going awful. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the answer. Don't get mad. And bringing it back to the NBA before we get too
So, yeah,
sidetracked on
I was
it.
gonna say, you hear that, Chris Paul? It's called labor solidarity.
And Chris Paul is the from the tweet I saw said that Chris Paul was the one trying to tell people that teams to watch out because certain teams will pressure players to come in and practice. And that is 100% true because in the NFL, they have all those voluntary team meetings and like voluntary practices. And like Tom Coughlin, who's like fucking chief hard ass, bro. Like, I don't give a fuck. Is like, everyone needs to come in. It says they're voluntary, but they're not. And it's just like, yes,
Right.
they are. It's literally by law. It's by your collective bargaining agreement that they're voluntary. And I
Yeah.
guarantee there's going to be some hard ass in a fucking NBA locker room that's like, a GM saying like, we need to get to practice. We need to win this championship.
Right.
And it's probably going to be the fucking Knicks because we always look like the jackasses. And I'm just going to always be sad for the team I root for.
Right. I mean, it totally makes sense. Like if you're a guy who's on like I said, the 12th guy on the bench, you're a two-way player. You go between the real team or sorry, the actual NBA team and the G League team every other day. Like, why would you not do the voluntary ones, or why would you not feel compelled to do voluntary ones when literally another guy could come in and maybe come in an extra voluntary day, and then the team goes, yeah, we'll take John Smith B because he actually came in. Like it's unnecessary pressure that I think is gonna force players that aren't as locked or that aren't as secure in their position to risk their lives and risk coming in and getting sick.
Right, absolutely. I mean, LeBron James doesn't have to give a fuck. You know what I mean? On
No,
top of, like you said, he can pay two people to literally just be like, you're going to be the people that get infected. But even if we're not talking about that,
yeah,
who the fuck is going to let go of LeBron James? No one. LeBron James could dick off until the fucking day of the first game back. And you're just going to be like, well, it's LeBron James. What are you going to do?
right. I was gonna say, like, he could literally pay four people with extremely long arms to hold hands and just walk around him like a giant invisible hula hoop, but other players can't. And sort of to not to keep bog this down with coronavirus stuff because I know I do want this to be more of like an escape from that. I can't help, like, I know this is like not something that is at the top of my list in terms of things that are going badly. I'm not saying that this is worse. I can't help but feel sad that we're losing LeBron James time and that now he might not become the all-time leading scorer. Like I kind of go
Right.
like, shit, man, he was on pace, man. He was on pace to do it in like a year and a half. I think it literally was. I think like he needed 160 something games if we average 27 points to go past Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And now I'm like, we literally missed out on 2 months of LeBron James. And like I know that's not like not even like something that I should care about or that it should matter, but me as somebody who has been following him for so long, I can't help but go like, damn, because I remember being in high school. I remember being in high school and being like, okay, he has these many points to beat Kareem. He's gonna have to average these many points over the next 12 years. And I remember thinking, man, that's gonna be so cool because I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be following along. And now he is so close, and now he has this thing that is going to potentially derail it, or at least put it on ice for the foreseeable future. And him like coming so close to number two, or yeah, he's gonna pass Karl Malone, and coming so close to number one and not doing it because of this, I can't help but go like, shit, like that sucks. And I know that's not something that is like a huge like, oh no, the coronavirus did that, but it's just something that I can't help but think about as somebody who's followed him for so long.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember Sean, who's the biggest LeBron James fan I know. Um, we were talking like years ago, and he was like, "Look at this!" Like it was ESPN had published like a tracker,
Yeah.
to like and like a
Yep.
calculator, like what he needed to average to beat Kareem, and like he was showing me these numbers, and I was like, "Bro, there's no fucking way." Like he's 100% good enough. The problem is that in my head you're talking about Kareem did it for as long as he did because his game required no impact. Like he was like, cool, I'm just catch this ball on the block, take a couple steps, skyhook, bang, points. LeBron has to work so much harder for his points than
Yeah.
Kareem did. And so I was like,
Yeah.
there's no fucking way. And then now
Yeah.
that it's close, there's another fucking obstacle in the way.
Yeah. I mean, he was leading the league in assists before before all this happened. So it means he's running the court at full speed every single game, or at least close to it. And it just sucks that we're missing out on that. But like I said, not something that you know I want to say is on the top 1,000 things that matter right now, but just something that I have thought about since all this happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nothing that matters in the moment, but if it all is said and done, and if he does reach it, if he does make number one, or if he doesn't, you're gonna look and be like, there was that whole
Like,
like second half of
if
the
he
season, and possibly
right,
going into next season that is
and
up
like
in the air because of it.
yeah, if he gets it, then it's like cool. He surpassed that. Like he was able to do it even with that. And if he doesn't, it's like, what if, man? What if that doesn't happen? Like, what happens?
Right. And speaking of what ifs, if we go to the NFL, which just released a schedule and didn't fucking matter at all to me, because as much
Nope.
as everyone's trying to act like these games are gonna happen, there's no fucking way.
There's no way. They're not gonna happen. Those things are gonna happen, and if by some miracle they do happen, they're not happening with people. There's gonna be no fans in the stadium.
Right.
Like it just like I felt the exact same way about it. Like these the Panthers released a little video. The Cowboys put on Instagram like save this as your wallpaper so you have the schedule ready. And I was like, I just did not feel it in any way, shape, or form. Like I know people were using it as a foundation, like being like this is where the hope starts. This is sort of like a taste of normal life. But for me, dude, it was nothing. It
I
was
say there's no way it could happen, but like if we're talking about any commissioner in any sport that would fuck this up and it would still happen, it's Roger Goodell. Uh,
he will force those players to be out there. But yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean,
But like as far as what we were talking about LeBron James, like the midseason, like this is a Tom Brady year where he's somewhere else. You know what I mean? And this is like
right?
a good chance you would see like one, and especially because Tom Brady was bad last year. I don't care what anyone says, he was bad. You look at
He
his
was bad
stats,
by
he
every
was
single
bad.
stat measurement. I mean, like people dog on Jameis because of his interceptions, but he was as good as Jameis Winston was last year. In my
Absolutely. And so my thing is that like this is the perfect chance for you to be like, this can set so many different things in motion because Tom Brady, if he came into Tampa Bay this year and balled the fuck out because he had weapons, right? Like he has Mike Evans, he has Godwin, you know what I mean? They're stacked, and
OJ
they have,
Howard,
and I think the coach Bruce Arians, right?
yeah,
Who's like
yeah.
a great offensive coach. So if
Mhm.
you're telling me that like he came in and balled the fuck out, you'd have to look back, and even the fact that this man has as many Super Bowls as he does, there's a part of you that have to be like, what if Bill Belichick just fucking like gave him a wide receiver more than once? That man had Randy Moss ball the fuck out, and then everybody else was like, Wes Welker was really good in New England, and then he like fizzled out. But all those people fizzled out the moment they left, and so this could
Yeah,
be the chance for Tom Brady to be like, "It was fucking me." You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I
right, right.
drugged these fucking teams on my back.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, so like, Randy Moss leaves in 2007. No, he's there for a few years, but he comes in 2007. Tom Brady's hurt in 2008. But then from like 2007 when they went to that Super Bowl to the next Super Bowl in 2011, I believe Gronk was on that team. So basically for 4 or 5 years they were shit because they didn't have anybody. And then the moment that Gronk comes in, it's like, oh, you have an all-time player at that position, and then they go to, what did they go to? They went to 5 Super Bowls and they get another three. It's like,
Bro, Tom Brady, I had Randy Moss and Gronk, right? And then everything else after that was just whatever fucking shit fell in his lap. Because
right.
Bill Belichick would not spend picks on that fucking offense. And on a separate note, like that same at the same time, imagine if Tom Brady wasn't. Imagine if Tom Brady was playing like dog shit, and then Bill Belichick is out here stunting with whoever the fuck he's got at quarterback. You'd be
I
like,
mean, he
oh,
kind of did.
You'd be like, oh, it was Bill Belichick the whole time, which I don't think is true. But you could definitely start saying that. You could be getting off these hot takes that Tom Brady's a system QB. You know what I mean?
But I think the one thing that I think gives credit to that idea that he was a system QB, or it could be something that is it's like the perfect symbiosis of coach and quarterback. But I do think the one thing that does give merit to that Tom Brady just fit into the perfect system is the 2008 season where he gets hurt. Tom Brady gets hurt in Week 1 against the
It's
Dolphins.
Matt Castle.
Matt Castle comes in. He leads them to an 11-5 record. Doesn't win the division. I think it's the only year they haven't won the division in the past like 15 or 16 years. And I think that year the Jets were also 11-5 and they made the playoffs. The Dolphins were 11-5, they made the playoffs, but the Pats didn't. But they went 11-5 with Matt Castle,
And Matt
dude.
Castle was terrible.
Matt Castle was awful. I mean, I know they still had Randy Moss, who
Doesn't
is,
matter. Matt Castle's terrible.
right, right. I think it's just like a perfect mix of both because we go, oh, Tom Brady didn't have any weapons. He only had Randy Moss and Rob Gronkowski, but Rob Gronkowski is the greatest tight end of all time, and Randy Moss is the second greatest wide receiver of all time. So I think it's like he's played for so long, and the whole situation is so complex that I feel like you have good arguments for every single side of this. Like,
Right, because as much as
have
you want to
evidence
say,
for all.
as much as you could say, like when I say he has no weapons, you could be like he had Randy Moss and Gronk, but the thing is, he performed above or at expectations with those players. You know what I mean?
Right,
You'd be like, well, he had Randy Moss, but there was no Randy Moss. It's Randy Moss didn't carry him. You know what I mean?
right.
I feel like at worst you would say that he definitely helped make him look better, but it's not like he got Randy Moss and had a bad year with Randy Moss. You know what I mean? He got Randy Moss and he was like Super Bowl, touchdown record, like
Yeah,
instantly.
right. And that's another what if that we were talking about. Like, I would have loved to have seen them play together in 2008. I
Oh
think
my,
that would have been insane.
yeah.
Um, but also the thing is, like, so he makes all these Super Bowls, all of these AFC conference championships. But if they lose some of these Super Bowls that they won, I think the story's completely different. I mean, I'm gonna go down their win margin
All right, real quick before
just to
we do
show
that,
you. Yeah,
I just keep that in thought. We're going to go right back to it. But I just want to say, as much as we're going to talk about, the story could be completely different, if they hadn't won them, they still should have won the two they fucking lost to the fucking Giants. I can't stand Eli fucking Manning, bro. That is the most average motherfucker to win Super Bowls, and I'm so fucking mad about it. Especially when Tony Romo, most underrated quarterback of all time, don't give a fuck. That's my quarterback. That motherfucker didn't get shit. Never got his. And Eli Manning got a fucking lucky catch off his helmet. And
true,
some awful ass
true.
fucking David Tyree, or not David Tyree. It
That's all
was
right.
no David Tyree did the over on the helmet one. Who did the one where it's like over the
On the
fucking
sideline,
shoulder? Yeah, on the sideline over the
it
wrong
was
shoulder.
Mario Manningham.
Bro, Mario Manningham over the fucking wrong shoulder because Eli Manning can't throw a fucking pass to save his life. Let's go
Fair.
back to the ones that they won.
So they win the first one here. They win the first one by 3.
Okay.
Second one by 3. Third one by 3. They lost to the Giants by 3. They win. They lost to the Giants again by 4. They beat the Seahawks by 4. They beat the Eagles. Oh, sorry, the Falcons by 6. They lose to the Eagles by 8, and then they win the one against the Rams by 10. So that 10 point win is their biggest win out of all of them.
Isn't that wild? Because all I can think of is how fucking dominant that team is, and they won all those fucking games by like a field goal. That's
Like field
nuts.
goal, a squeaker, like an the all time collapse, like the biggest collapse of
Shout out
all
to the
time.
Falcons.
That's the phone. The fucking Russell Wilson deciding to pass at the one, like all of these, like they're so dominant and they've won six, and you think they crush everything, but literally all of these required some sort of luck. I mean, fucking John Casey kicking it out of bounds against the Panthers,
Right.
like just like shit that you kind of go like, what, like how, like it's just insane. And I love talking about this, and I love that. This is why I love sports, because it swings so much based on little things, like
And with
kicking the ball out of bounds.
with that being said, I think at that point now I have to give more credit to Bill Belichick, which is wild to say because I give that man all the credit anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they're
But
like the
like,
greatest of all time at their position. I mean, it's the greatest tight end of all time, the greatest quarterback of all time, the greatest coach of all time.
yeah, and but I think one thing that has to go into consideration is if they're winning all these games by three and consistently doing it, it's because they're so well prepared and they are always
Right.
ready. And
Right.
as a Cowboys fan who suffered through fucking how long was Jason Garrett the fucking head coach? I feel like it was 1,000 years.
He came in 2008 or 2009,
So
and
I had to
until this
listen
year,
to
so that
this
was like 10 years.
fucking garbage ass coach for 10 years who had good talent and just fucking fumbled it away because we always make the dumbest mistakes. We are consistently beating ourselves 100% of the time because our coaching was terrible. So the
Right.
antithesis of Jason Garrett having talent and still losing because he sucks is Bill Belichick who makes shit work with talent that's not always the greatest.
Right. Right.
Despite, which is so weird to say considering you have the best quarterback of all time. But it still takes more than a quarterback.
But yeah, we don't think these games are gonna happen in the fall.
Fuck
But
no, dude. There's no way. Roger
I mean, I
Goodell
hope so.
is gonna shit his pants and they're still gonna go through. But like, they should.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice to have them, and it'd be nice to have every. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of shit that shouldn't happen, fucking UFC card. I'm not super big into UFC, so we're not gonna go super into this. But these motherfuckers got
Yeah,
a
me
fucking closed. Last I heard, could have changed. Not keeping up with it. Last I heard, they were fucking renting like an island to run this whole fucking thing on. And I just wanted to know, if we're gonna have Mortal Kombat, where's Goro? Where's my man with four arms ripping people in half, fucking back breaking Johnny Cage? I need that motherfucker in the octagon.
neither.
That movie was
I
so bad, bro.
it
Have
was,
you?
it was so bad. I was gonna say, I was literally just gonna say, I was like, I haven't seen the movie since I was a kid. I remember the theme song. That song gets you hype, but I remember it being not very good.
Dude, I loved it because I played the games and I was a kid and just fucking stupid, and it didn't matter. And then I went back to watching as an adult because I was like, I love this as a kid. I was like, oh boy, what the fuck happened to me? Because this shit is terrible.
No, yeah, and it's so weird to me. I mean, I know they've tried, but it's so weird to me that they haven't rebooted it as like a major movie. I know there's been like little YouTube shorts and stuff,
This is the
but I
perfect
feel
time
like,
for that.
yeah, I feel like it's such a like perfect sort of like culturally known property. It's such a big IP that I think everybody, like, if you ask even Joe Schmo on the street, be like, "What is Mortal Kombat?" They'll say, "Oh, it's some sort of video game that's like bloody." But like, it it's so weird to me that they haven't tried to give them like $100 million to some big director to make a um like a big action movie based around it, like the John Wick guys. I'm surprised they didn't go up to the John Wick people and be like, "Make us a movie based on Mortal Kombat." But you
Yeah,
know,
especially because like I think the biggest flaw before was just that Mortal Kombat is campy on its own. Like the actual game is campy, over the top, fucking nonsense, bro. I got a dude who can come out of hell and shoot fire out of his mouth and a spear out of his hand, and then I've got a dude named Stryker who's just a fucking police officer. Like it doesn't fucking matter. So it's at the time, like the campiness I think can be overcome, but like at the time the problem was is you're not going to have any good looking special effects for the amount of over the topness you have in the game. Whereas now that's not a problem.
oh yeah, and I think like now, I mean like now in the age where like the world knows who a tree named Groot is, I don't think there is a single idea that can not be done. I think
Absolutely.
But
If you'd
yeah,
have
I mean,
told
I'd
me
love,
Ant Man was gonna be a fucking movie, I'd tell you to get the fuck out of here, bro. I ain't trying to watch no fucking Ant
everybody
Man.
knows who Ant Man is. Like, if you go, like, "Yo, who's Ant Man?" They'll say it's Paul Rudd, and he gets small and gets big. So it's just like, and I don't think there's any sort of IP or property that I think can't be remade or reshaped into a movie now.
Right. Bradley Cooper plays a raccoon that talks in a
Right.
superhero movie.
Right.
Fuck out of here, bro. But it's great.
But speaking of, schlocky movies from the '90s, I rewatched Deep Blue Sea this week. Have you seen that movie? Have you ever seen it? Have you seen it
I
recently?
saw it way back in the day. I have not watched it recently. I absolutely want to, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid. I had a big like shark, not obsession, but I loved watching like shark documentaries and it was kind of like dinosaurs to me. Like the idea, like some kids are obsessed with dinosaurs. I was like that with sharks. I was like, oh, I love it
So you're
because they're like these like.
100% the Shark Week audience. Like Discovery was like, we're keying in on this
Right.
dude right here.
Well, that was me back then. Now I'm like, now it's like, oh, they're just animals,
Right.
like anything else. But back then it was like, whoa, it's like these prehistoric creatures. They're like the oldest killing machines, and so anyway, so I used to watch that movie all the time, and I rewatched it this week, and it holds up. I mean, I still think it's really good. All the characters work. Some characters that I didn't realize were kind of the villains of the movie when I was a kid are, and I was like rewatching it this time. I was like, wow, these people are kind of assholes. Or some people who you were like, wow, like this actually clicks a lot better. But it's fantastic. Like I think it's still great, and it has an all-time death scene, which I'm not gonna spoil it on here, but watch it, for that. Um, and it has an all-time end credit song by LL Cool J. Have you
Oh
heard
my!
it?
I
You know what I'm
haven't.
talking about?
Well, I remember it, but in my number one problem right now is going to be that LL Cool J is the most nonsensical human being to ever rap on a microphone. So I can't imagine that this song it makes any sense.
It's called. Oh, I don't know the actual title, but I know either this title is called this, or in parentheses it has "My hat is like a shark's fin."
What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It's just I think the song is called Deep Blue Sea parentheses My hat is like a shark's fin, or it's called My hat is like a shark's fin parentheses Deep Blue Sea.
Bro, I just remember his verse on I think it might be the Flav in Your Ear remix. This man starts with the most nonsensical horse shit. He like this man's like electrocuta, barracuda. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? This is a rap song. This motherfucker's over here talking about aquatic life forms and electricity. What are you talking about? He's the guy you get to make that song. If you're like, we're Deep Blue Sea, we're making it, we're gonna try and have this bomb ass rap song roll out the credits. Who's gonna do that? The answer is LL Cool J.
Oh, okay. So here, look, I'm gonna read you a couple of the lines from the song from Genius, just so that you know. And so the song is called "Deepest Bluest," parentheses shark's fin.
Dope. I'm in. I'm 100% in.
It starts off with, oh no, wait, hold on, I gotta read it. I gotta read what the contributor said the song is about.
Okay.
Out of context, this song and several of its details make little sense. It's only after viewing the film it was made for, Deep Blue Sea, that you may unravel the song's true meaning.
Jesus Christ. The song's true meaning to a shark movie. The shit is named Deepest Bluest. Get the
Shark's
fuck out, bro. All right, continue.
It starts off with, uh, my head is like a shark's fin. Chorus, deepest, bluest, my head is like a shark's fin. And the first verse starts, man-made terror, hungry jaws of death. Y'all don't crash my depths, I'll pause your breaths.
Oh my god, dude. Oh boy, I hope they paid him a bunch. I hope that he is raking in fucking bags of cash off of that terrible ass song from a movie that, I remember it being good. You said it's still good. It's very
It's so good.
clearly still just a Jaws ripoff. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And like I think I read an article about how it's the best shark movie because it is the movie where the shark is like the focus of it. Like the movie is about sharks. Jaws, I think, is like the movie. The shark comes in, but it's like about the town and about a sheriff trying to find his place in this new town. But Deep Blue Sea is like the Shark Town, and I think it is such a it strikes this very unique tone where it's like campy enough to be not too serious, but it's serious enough where it doesn't go into this Sharknado territory. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like where it becomes this thing like, hey, dude, we're gonna get some beers and we're gonna drink, we're gonna watch this movie and make fun of it. Like it matters, but there's like good levity, and I think it strikes this like very solid tone that I think makes it work really well. Where it can be a very good thriller. It can have some goofy parts, including, like I said, an all-time death, and then that ridiculous song at the end. But you don't. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also doesn't make fun of itself.
Yeah. So the thing is that like I told you about my Spotify playlist, 600 songs, and I think I'm just gonna have to go and delete that playlist. I'm gonna just put fucking Deepest Bluest on there, fucking
Dude,
10 times in a row.
no, just go ahead and add it to your playlist because it is from what you're telling me about your playlist, it is exactly what that kind of song is. Like after we get off here, or if you're listening to this, listen to the song after this, and Tyler, you do as well after we finish recording. Go on YouTube and listen to that song, please, because it's better than I remember from when I was a kid, and it's just like this perfect little nugget of late '90s hip hop.
Dude, I just can't. Like, I already cringe at LL Cool J lyrics and songs where he's being serious. I can't imagine I'm going to love Deepest Bluest. But on recommendation of Ever Castro, I'm 100% gonna go listen to this.
Definitely, definitely do.
All right, man. Well, I think we're running up on time. So just wanted to say again, you can catch us at Diff Animals Pod on Twitter, Instagram. You can catch me at T Money Bags on Twitter. A blank Instagram page. What you got going?
Yeah, and then on my end, you can find me on. Hold on, give me 1 second. You can find me on at evercastro92 on Instagram, and then like Tyler said, Diff Animals Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And I do want to thank Colin Cease for the podcast art. You can find him at creative.colin with two L's on Instagram.
Awesome. And the intro music we played earlier and the music we're going to use to play this out, you can find Eddie Ruger and Philly Fresh. We're going to include all this in the description below. You can, contact them if you need anything or even just to let them know that everything's good.
Right. And Tyler, do you have our email? If people want to email us, with any questions or concerns or comments about the episode?
Absolutely. It's a differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com.
Perfect.
So
Cool.
like, review, subscribe. We're gonna try and get this up on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, maybe Spotify. We're gonna try and get it everywhere we can. Give us a review, 5 stars. In the words of Bomani Jones, if you give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe that you are a hater. But all right, man.
Exactly. Take it easy, everybody. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Try to. Hopefully the light at the end of the tunnel is near, and if not, we're in this together, and we'll be all right. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Stay safe, stay entertained, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.
See you. Ever. In
Yep.
honor of May the 4th be with you. Star Wars fur, yeah, I'm rocking Chewbacca.